Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're watching from. Welcome to another vlog from Narrowboat Super B. I'm just going to do a quick vlog today on boat safety. So your boat safety certificate, which is required every 4 years. And we'll just run through some of the bits that you need to do before the examiner turns up. So the boat safety scheme certificate is owned by the Canal and River Trust and the Environment Agency. Its purpose is to minimise the risk of boat fires, explosions and the risk of pollution that could harm visitors to the inland waterways, the waterways workforce and any other users. Nearly all boats that use the British waterways, there are some exceptions to unpowered vessels, but nearly all boats that use the waterways will need a boat safety certificate, boat safety scheme or BSS. And you need this BSS in order to obtain a licence which allows you to use the waterways that belong to one of the 5 main authorities, and these are the Canal and River Trust, otherwise known as the CRT, the Environment Agency, the Broads Authority, Essex Waterways Limited and the Avon Navigation Trust. Well, cost can vary between £130, £140 up to £180. That is depending on the size of the boat, and the size of the boat is because the examiner has more to look at: gas pipes and fittings, where they've got to travel from and how much information you have given them before the exam. And your boat safety will last for a period of 4 years, then it has to be renewed. Brand new boats may not have a boat safety certificate, and instead they will have a document called a Declaration of Conformity. This means that the boat has been built to standards set down in a European directive. Before you go out and buy a boat, you need to make sure that it has got a boat safety certificate, a valid one. If it's not, you must try and fully understand the amount of work that is needed to get that certificate. You may go out and buy a boat and they say, yeah, just this and that needs doing, and then you buy the boat and you find out there's a lot of work needs to be done to get that certificate. Without the certificate you can't get your licence. Without your licence you can't use the waterways. It's much the same as buying a car. When you go and buy a car, you want to try and get the MOT with it. If you haven't got the MOT, you want to do a thorough inspection and find out what that vehicle needs to get its MOT certificate. So you need to know the extent of what work needs to be done to bring it up to that standard. You can do lots to prepare your boat before the examination, and this will help the process run more smoothly. So we'll start with the gas locker then. So your gas locker needs to be clear of any loose materials. Any false boards in there or false floor needs to be removed, and while the inspection is being carried out, this gas bottle needs to be out so the examiner can have a good look round. So looking at this one here, we've got the strap. This is a retaining strap. This needs to be fixed. This is screwed to the bulkhead and it needs to be fixed, and it needs to be able to secure this gas bottle to stop it rocking about. Let's say using a lock, going side to side, that gas bottle needs to be secure, so he needs to look at that. If you've got loose items in your gas locker, just remove them somewhere else so that when he comes in he can just have a good look round and he's not moving things. If he's got to move too much stuff or it isn't moved, he may cancel the appointment. Another point as well is make sure that you've got a good supply of gas, your water tank, you've got water available, and you've got your batteries topped up, because he's going to want to run the engine. He's going to want to look at the appliances, especially your gas appliances on board. So we'll come to the gas appliances now. If you've got an oven and a hob and you've got the water heater, it's no use saying, well, we don't actually use them. He's still got to examine, so he will say, I need to fire up this gas appliance to check for leaks, to check for anything like that. He'll probably do a bubble test as well. So make sure you've got water supply, make sure you've got gas, so that he can fire up these appliances. Staying with the gas, your gas pipes, something was passed last year or the year before, any gas pipes need to be secured every 30 centimetres. So if you can see under here, that's clipped in there, and it's clipped in there as well. So that gas pipe there runs along, it's clipped in probably every 20 centimetres there. Where the gas pipe goes behind tiles or behind any woodwork, you don't have to expose them. He's not going to expect you to take that off and expose it, but where it's visible, he will check it. So all required items must be capable of being checked effectively and accurately. If they're not, then the examination will be considered to be incomplete, and the certificate cannot be issued on an incomplete examination. Right, I'm going to move on to firefighting equipment now. Your extinguisher. Make sure your extinguisher, the hose, the handle, it's got the pin in. Look up here at the contents. On a lot of fire extinguishers, if you look around the collar, you'll see some figures. One of them figures will be the weight. So get your kitchen scales out, weigh the whole thing. If it doesn't have to match exactly, you're going to lose. If it's dry powder, you're going to lose a tiny bit. And what that weight is telling you is that that extinguisher hasn't been used and put back. Now this boat is 36 feet long and it requires 3 fire extinguishers, one there, one here, and one down, you see it there by the life jackets. If your boat is 7 metres or less, it's 2 fire extinguishers. If you're over 7 metres, it's 3 fire extinguishers. So you've got to have 3 fire extinguishers on your boat if it's over 7 metres. And what's 7 metres? 23 feet. So now we've got the fire blanket. Okay, make sure you've got a fire blanket, and also your fire blanket and your extinguishers have to be in a readily accessible place. So the fire blanket is right next to the hob. It's pointless having that or those tucked away under there. You need to be able to use them in an emergency, and the examiner needs to see that they are sighted correctly. Another thing to consider is your carbon monoxide alarm requirements. Now, as of April 2019, at least one carbon monoxide alarm is a requirement on all private and non-private boats. A boat safety certificate will not be issued to boats without these alarms. You can pick them up from most stores, B&Q, Wickes, other places like that. They're not very expensive, but you need to have one. Now, this boat is one compartment right the way through. On boats where you've got a separate compartment and you've got this in one compartment, you've got a stove in another compartment, you need a separate carbon monoxide alarm for each compartment. So let's move on now to the engine compartment and batteries. Now, it's a requirement that the examiner can get access to the engine mountings to look at their condition. This is where they can be seen or reached, and checks will also be made to any structures or surrounding surfaces near the exhaust system components for sign of heat damage. So he'll look all around here, make sure there's nothing stored around here, nothing falling down there, that sort of thing is fine. Now, moving on to the batteries, your wiring's got to look tidy-ish. You can't have bits and bobs of wire all over the place. Now, that is a possible failure because these terminals are exposed. Even though I've got a battery cover, which is out there, you can pick up these flexible terminal covers. So you'd want 2, 4, 6. They just sit on these here. These first 2 batteries, you can see they're housed in a box. This one there's loose. But what I've done is I've put a piece of wood there, and what I'll do is I'll get a strap that will come over here and screw into there. And that's just to stop the batteries moving about Again, if you're in a lock or you're on a river and it's quite rough, or you're being thrown about in a lock, these batteries are not going to go all over the place. Anything like this at the back end, try and get it stored away somewhere, shift it somewhere else. He's going to want to see where your fuel shut-off is, so make sure your fuel shut-off is clearly visible. Now there's that battery cover in place now, look. And that basically was just an old plastic table. See the legs here, if you can see the legs there. I'll just cut the legs down to size, and that sits on top of all the batteries, and it's got about a 4 or 5 inch gap between the top of the batteries and the table. And basically what that does is, if you've got one of these boards up for any reason and you're working in here with spanners and you drop something, it's not going to land on the batteries, it's going to land on this and bounce off. You don't want spanners and metal objects landing on your batteries. Now moving on to electricity. Where a boat uses AC shore power, you should, if practical and safe to do so, disconnect the shore power battery, the battery charging and other power sources in readiness for the examination. You'll also need to know the location of your AC consumer unit, which is tucked away up there. And you should make available the shore power and battery charging leads for examination of their type and their condition. So he'll be checking this lead, and again, all this needs to be cleared away. Now if your boat fails the boat safety certificate examination, you have got a rig examination that they give you 3 months to take. And the reason they give you 3 months is because you haven't got to do it all, you've only got to do the bits that they've picked up on. And again, the reason it's 3 months is because it may be due to bad weather, you can't get the work done if it's something outside. The boat owner themselves might be ill health or work commitments, because there may be stoppages along the route that you're going on, because continuous cruisers won't stop in one place and wait till the boat examiner comes back. They will go to wherever they're going and they'll phone up to rebook an appointment at such a place. It may be the boatyard itself might not have the time or the room to get you in on a certain date to get the work done. Now just one thing to bear in mind, if your boat does fail and you're in the process of selling your boat, the new owner has to have a full examination. It's got to start from scratch, everything's got to be done again. You just can't say to the new owner, that needs doing. That won't happen. They've got to have a full inspection. Okay, I've not covered everything you need to know, but they are the basics. It seems a great deal, but it's not. A lot of it is common sense. A lot of it is what you would look for safety wise yourself. The examiner will have a full list. You can go online, if you go online and type in boat safety certificate scheme requirements, there'll be a whole list you can download. A lot of that is to do with other things and other boats, such as cruisers, cabin cruisers. They carry petrol. They've got an outboard engine. They can carry spare fuel. You're only allowed to carry so many litres of petrol. For the narrowboaters who carry spare diesel, there is a certain limit that you're allowed to carry loose, and they've got to be in specially designed containers like the jerry cans. They've got to be secured, stop them falling about, and they've got to be also secured in a way that some passerby just can't take them off your boat one night and start spreading all this diesel around. So if you are coming up for your boat safety the same as I am, I hope you pass, I hope it gets done. One thing I've got to get done before is this stove. It needs a new handle because the handle seized, and it needs new glass. It's a Hamlet stove, but I don't know what series it is, what design it is, so I think it's quite old. Well, thanks for watching. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. If this video has helped you in any way, give it a like. End of next week I'm travelling down to London, not by boat. I'm going on the train. I'm going down to Little Venice in London. I'm going to cover the Inland Waterways Canal Cavalcade. I've got a few more festivals lined up, which I'll just put a short video out later to let you know what I'll be covering. Anyway, thanks for watching, and bye bye.